Hello, guys, and welcome to Betty's Musings. Today, I have the honor of being with my husband, Mr. Samuel Omori. Today is our 13th wedding anniversary, and we just felt that we should share, 13 tips on what has helped us through our marriage. No particular order. We're going to be just talking about the different tips, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So the first one I think I realized that helped us as a couple was being real with each
Yeah.
other. And I don't know whether it was because we met when we were in school, but I think I was 17 when I met my husband. So at that point in my life, I was not really thinking about marriage or things like that. But it was like a feel good thing. I had a friend I considered him my brother because I used to tell a lot of my friends that you know what, that I have a brother. They were like, what do you mean my brother? You guys have something, Jerry. So but I think that friendship kind of helped us to be very real and open and bare, with each other. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, luckily for you, I was 24 at the time. And, I'd say that I had matured. And what I was looking for in a relationship was something more permanent.
Yeah.
I was looking for a wife, pretty
At
much.
24, baby, you were looking for a
Yes, I
wife.
was.
Oh wow. I That was definitely not my that was definitely what I was not what I was looking for anyway. So I think one of the tips was about sharing, we're actually being very real with each other. So I think the second one that I would say is where we share our feelings intentionally, with each other. I would say sharing our feelings intentionally because we do not ever assume that our spouse always has gotten us 100%. So we always feel like, you know what, I need to, if I have something that I do not like, right? I have to tell my husband. I have to be intentional about it. And it means by I have to actually also tell him respectfully, cautiously, but I must not leave that, setting without actually expressing how I feel. I don't know if
Yeah, I
that's
mean, for us guys, we're not too open about sharing the way we feel. But you see,
you learn.
it becomes a bit of a bother when, your wife is always saying, "What's the problem? What's the problem?" And she's thinking other things. So the easy way out is to just express to her how you're feeling at that particular point in time, and just let her know the challenges you're facing.
Hmm.
But don't give her too much of that information because you don't want her being like you, worrying about, how to get the home moving and stuff like that. So yes, it's important you share so that she knows that maybe you're in deep thought at the time, or you have a lot of things that you're considering. But yes, sharing with your spouse your challenges is actually quite important.
And I think, like you said, I think really for men it can be very difficult because men naturally they like to sort out their issues. And if you see how guys even talk, is they don't really break down the nitty gritty about whatever they actually experience. So, but from a woman's perspective, it's usually they are more expressive, and this is something that in marriage you kind of learn from each other. You know what? Okay, when I see him like this, okay, he's willing to talk about it now. If he actually, I feel like he's overburdened, I really need to kind of press on, but press on gently without suffocating him so that he feels relaxed. And I have to also look at the, let's say the ambience or the atmosphere of that conversation, right?
Yes.
Before I can to actually say, okay, we're getting somewhere because my intention is for him to be able to unburden himself. And your intention is for me to be able to unburden myself, right?
Yeah, you said it.
Okay, so this now goes to the next tip. I think one of it is that we learn to be there for each other. For instance, I know that to make this video right now has taken my husband a lot of work, of preps, of trying to make sure that okay, we can actually do this today, which is our wedding anniversary. Because I was like, I might be very busy, and a lot of things happen. I mean, life happens, and then something else comes up, but you just want to make, and because the reason why you're doing the video because you want someone else to learn a thing or two. So being there for each other really has actually for each other has really helped us. Knowing that okay, this is something that I need to provide for you, so I'm going to be there for you, even though it's really not in my it's not really my forte. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I did want to do this, but this is 13 years, and life goes off, pretty
I
fast.
might I add that 13 years of marriage, but we've been together for about 21 years.
Yeah, so we've been together for 21 years, and this is 13 years of marriage. She wanted to do this. I was like, look, today I'm not just in the mood, but just to make her happy, of course, I'll definitely put myself out there.
Yeah. Okay, so I think another tip that has actually helped us as a couple is not taking advantage of, each other's weaknesses. Because I personally have for one, I've realized that sometimes you think your spouse's weakness is a weakness, but actually it's a strength that you need. I'm trying to let me give you for it. And in your eyes, it seems like it's a weakness. And let's say for instance, your weakness is having too much time for people or something like that. I mean, I'm feeling like, we should be doing other things. But you know what? He's giving me a humanitarian part that I'm supposed to be learning. You know what I mean? So, but I'm not also going to take advantage of it because there's some people that, let's say you have a husband that is very giving, whatever he says, he will give you, and then you just exploit it. You're taking advantage because you feel like it's a weakness, but you're supposed to be, you know, enjoying that part of him. It's supposed to be something. How do I put it? It's supposed to make you like strong as a couple because you're complementing each other.
I
You
mean, I
know?
mean, you said it all. Complementing each other is what gives you strength.
Yeah.
The scripture says that two shall come together and become one flesh. It's very difficult for your hand to be working against your head, or your legs to be working against your mind. You're not going to be going anywhere. So as a couple, it's important that you work together. And when there's love, and you're in a relationship where your heart is there, your mind is there, and the Holy
Mm.
Spirit is the one that guides the both of you, you'll find yourself working together. But in reality, not taking advantage of your spouse's weakness is truly seeing that person as part and parcel of you.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to exploit your neck by slapping your cheek,
Yeah.
because it's one body. Nobody
Mhm.
does that. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so our next tip goes to supporting each other in our designated responsibilities. Now, I know a lot of people will say that one of the reasons why a lot of marriages actually feel that, which I've actually seen, is that they have this mindset that it is your duty, so you should take charge of that particular thing, and then they forget that okay, it's your spouse's duty, but maybe they're actually falling short because of something. For I give you an instance. I remember when I gave birth to our first child. I nobody told me that I was going to deal with all that I dealt with. I mean, I was dealing with my breastfeeding. I was dealing with the almost depression,
I mean, the,
But
the, the milk wasn't even flowing, if I
thank you.
remember
I was
correctly.
almost sometimes I would be crying because I was a
And then
new
there was
mother.
there was a day. I know you don't like it. I said this. There was a day that you slept off holding Jessie and she fell down.
Yes, I was really exhausted.
And you were crying and saying, "What did I do? I'm a bad mother." We are like, "No."
Exactly. But you being there for me helped me. You say, you know what, go and rest. I'll carry the baby. Trying to help me. Not saying this is you're a mother and so you should be able to deal with it, but understanding that, there's some things that I also need that support. And it's yin and yang. Some women we hearing this, I'm saying, yes, that's good. That's how a man should supposed to be. How about you as a woman? Are you actually being supportive with your resources? Are you actually being there to brainstorm ideas? Or you're saying he's supposed to figure it out? Are you actually his cheerleader to be able to help him? Like, you know what, in whatever decision or whatever thing he's actually doing, you know what I mean? So supporting each other in whatever duties that people are doing. For instance, okay, I'm very overwhelmed and I'm not going to be at home, but there's food in the house, and you're like, you know what? Don't worry, I got it. I will sort this out. I'll sort that. It's not going to be a normal thing, but you know that you can actually step in. I know that I can actually step in, and that has really helped me because we're not seeing each other as competition, but we are seeing each other as actually complementing and supporting each other, understanding that marriage is actually companionship.
Yeah, and at that time, if the Almighty provides the resources, you can always eat outside.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
just
Not
relieve
a big
yourself
deal
of
at all.
stress.
Let me go get Chinese or go get something,
Exactly.
and but you just know that you're going to support each other in their designated duties. If this is supposed to be yours, we're going to support each other. Okay, so another thing that we have done from time memorial is that we never involve third party in our relationship or in our marriage. I mean, we're never the kind of couple that you have a disagreement and somebody else has to come and be, this thing that people are doing. You have to, we found out a way to address it by ourselves. And when I mean third party, it means no sibling, no parents, no friend is involved in our marriage.
So
It is like my dad will say. My dad will say that marriage is a cult. So it's a secret society in between both of us.
I'll say this: when we usually had our squabbles, I remember when we were newly married. I mean,
Yeah.
we hardly ever quarrel now. It's almost boring, But
Maybe we'll quarrel tomorrow.
but back in the day when we have issues, I remember that my first instinct is to get my car keys and drive out of the house. But I remember
As in,
you would lock us in the room and keep the key in your bra, and then I can't go anywhere. And the only way to get that key is to put my hand inside your bra.
and that means we are going to settle.
And it always worked out that we settled inside our room before we left out. And I
Yeah.
always thank you for that because I grew up sort of angry. But having married my wife, she tamed me, and she made me more understanding. She taught me how to love, short, and that's a fact.
Oh wow. Okay, let's go to the next point. The next point is having one voice while raising your children. This is very important. I mean, for us, it's important how our children are raised because we know that we have two children and we know that we are actually caretakers for these children. And you can actually make a mistake by just having something as small as a different voice. When your child knows that if mommy says no, daddy, I can go and get daddy to say yes. So it's usually, did you speak with your mommy? And what did she say? If she said no, why are you coming to meet me? You know what I
I
mean?
mean, I
So
mean,
the children just get it.
sometimes they try to slip through
Of
the
course, like
cracks.
children will always be.
I always say that they're more intelligent than we are, because we always underestimate their intelligence.
Yeah.
So sometimes they use gal, to get us to agree when one other person has said no. But when they are caught, the penalty is always grave. So
Yeah.
we try to let them know that, look, we're one. You can't break through the other. Although we also try to create some flexibility. They can come and meet one person and the other person will go and
Then we
beg
have to go and beg but it's still that one
together.
voice.
Yes.
You say, okay, daddy, please just allow her for this one.
Mm.
But they know that we have to be in agreement. And we're also teaching them because you're also preparing your children for their future spouse. They too have to understand that this is what is acceptable. You should never be divided between each other or between in front of anybody. You should actually have a voice, a single voice together. And that I think is really helpful because, like for instance, when my husband is, scolding my son, for instance, I try not to be involved because I also want that manly touch in raising a man. A man. I might get the nurturing part, I might get because I'm actually a disciplinarian, but I may not get it enough because he's a man. Just as I too, I'll be trying to discipline my daughter. He might not get it, wholly because he's a man, but he knows that because mommy has said this, we need to just support it because we, at the end of the day, what we want is to raise our children in a godly and wonderful way so that they can be beneficial to the society.
Absolutely. My son needs a tough hand. So as a man, I have to be tough on him. My daughter, on the other hand, all I can do is give her love and show her how, a man is supposed to be to her.
Yeah.
But for my son, he's going to be responsible for his own family, so I have to be tough. So when you want to step in, sometimes I tell you, just let me be with my son, because I'm trying to raise a man.
Yeah.
Raising
To
a
be
man is
tough.
different from raising a
A
woman,
woman, absolutely.
so different rules apply there.
Yeah. Okay, so the next point is trusting each other. I think one of the things that we have done for ourselves is and like I said, learning to trash out our issues together because you should have issues, especially when in the beginning of the time of your relationship, because both of you are just learning from different backgrounds, different upbringings. You should have issues. But if you do not settle those things together, you might end up still having trust issues. So you must settle your squabbles. We try to settle our issues, of course not involving third party, because now we don't give room for somebody to say your husband said this or your wife said this. No, I trust my husband 100%. And the trust also comes from the fact that I know that he's also a man who fears God. So I'm not thinking that he's going to do something that is going to be detrimental to us as a family. I know that whatever he's doing, is actually for our own good. So I may not say it yet, but I have to learn to trust him.
Yeah, I mean, the hierarchy is quite clear, as the Bible says. The man is the head of the home. So the man being the head of the home means that he carries the responsibility of his home and everything that applies under his home. The woman is under the man. Um, when you trust in your husband, the question is, what is your husband standing on?
What is even
Who is he
following?
trusting?
Yeah, exactly.
So it is my duty now to trust in the Almighty for the protection of my family,
Yeah.
to trust in the Almighty for the provision of my family,
Hmm.
to trust in the Almighty for the guidance and the steering in the right direction for my family.
Yeah.
And the scriptures hold who are the Almighty is. I mean, Psalm 103, verse 7 says, He made his ways known unto Moses, his
Mm.
acts unto the children of Israel.
Yeah.
So the testimonies of the children of Israel and the scriptures as given by Moses shows us, you know, how we should trust in the Almighty. This is put out and lean not on our own understanding. So I know that once I trust in the Almighty for everything, and I trust in His word and what His word says, build up my faith. My family putting their trust in me to follow me, their trust is not going to be in vain. So it's very important who we put our trust in. You, as my wife, put your trust in me, and I put my trust in the Almighty. Both of us, all together, we know that
Yeah.
it is the Almighty that is saving us. So, all together as a family, we're putting our trust in.
The Almighty. And that way, and I also believe that because our faith is one, you just know that nobody can come and tell you your wife is in a club, for instance. You already know what your wife does. Nobody can tell me that my husband is somewhere that is not supposed to be, for instance. You just know. He's actually, if he says he's in a business meeting, he's in a business meeting. You know what I mean? So learn, and that can only come to that level when you have addressed each other from your beginning, the beginning of your years, and you've settled things that could have been a potential um
Challenge.
challenge, or something that would have fueled distrust amongst you two. Okay, so now to the next point. I think one of the things that has helped us is appreciating each other. This one I may not tell my husband, but low key, I love it when my husband actually appreciates me and says things like, um, um, I don't know what I would have done without you. My wife, you're just a wonderful support. I low key love it because it makes me feel like, aside from being needed, I'm actually seen. That means my effort is seen. You know what I mean? So, and I appreciate my husband so much, and I don't know. It
Well, hold
just
on,
makes
did I
you
tell
feel.
you that frequently?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yes, you do. Even when on a day like I don't even feel like I've done so much. And you remember to say thank you so much for being such a wonderful wife, for a wonderful mother. And I'm like, okay, I've not really done so much today. It makes me want to do more. It makes me want to give more to that marriage, to my children, to my husband. It makes me to my home. It makes me to give because I feel like I'm being seen. And I think one of those things actually help in our marriage because we appreciate each other. I can look at my husband and say, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. I don't know what I would have done without you. So I think it's important not to assume that your spouse just gets it, and actually learn to appreciate your spouse.
Absolutely.
Let them know, that you see them.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay. All right. So the next point is that we are trying to avoid unnecessary quarrels. And if we absolutely must, it must be settled quickly. Now, this one, I remember in a early, like you mentioned about, you used this as an analogy before. The thing is, for me, I do not know how to have malice, or
Keep
we'll
it.
keep malice, or where we are fighting and we're not talking. I don't. it's too much of a burden for me. So
I
if we're
know,
good,
I know how it is.
but
I know that
but
one
you've
very well.
you've changed, baby. You've really tried,
Mm.
So for me, it's like wherever we go to, because I also want to be able to, but maybe because of my faith also, because I want to pray and I want my prayers to be answered. I don't want to be, feeling like I'm heavy burdened. I want to be free. And I want to also, so well, no matter what happens, the idea is we need to settle this issue. Even if I may not be 100% at that particular time, but I just need to talk about it. We need to just talk about it and settle it. It might not be that particular day. Maybe it's maybe something that needs to be spoken about hours later or the next day. But as soon as possible has really helped us.
Sometimes it's good to just let it breathe, let it breathe, and
Yeah.
then come back and deal with it later.
So you have to be something that you have to be intentional about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so another one is that no matter the quarrel, we never use talk down on our spouse on each other. We're not the kind of couple that will say, "You stupid man,
Oh no,
you are foolish for for doing so." It can never be heard from us because
never.
we have to just be respectful. Even no matter how mad you are, upset, you just have to bring it out respectfully and thoughtfully. Your
Yes.
words, we have realized. Even I remember one of my videos I put up. I said, all those words that you sit and write, they are the worst. So when you write it, and this happened ever since when we're dating. Even if I'm mad, because courtship, you feel as if you can get a lot of things. But as I'm typing it, I'm removing it. As I'm typing it, I'm removing because I'm like, I can't say this no matter. So I have to
Well,
just
well,
be
I
calm.
think I think one of the
Yeah.
thing that plays a role in this is I never saw my mother abuse my father.
Thank you.
Never, not one
Yeah.
day. And I'm sure, yeah, because I know your mother would never
Never.
talk to your father or abuse him or say anything.
Exactly.
So where is that coming from?
And the same for our fathers. Our fathers, no matter how this is what they can
Never.
do. They'll be like, when she finishes, she'll calm down.
Exactly.
So you
Never.
never see
So
them.
so I guess maybe we're just a product of the system that we came from.
Yeah, yeah. But this is also something like I always say, even though you have a background that is you had issues, you have to now unlearn the things that you have taken in unconsciously and begin to learn how to do something that differently that will actually benefit you guys as a couple. Because at the end of the day, you're learning kindness because when you're being kind to each other, kind with your words, you're learning kindness, okay? And that takes me to another point that you have to be kind and supportive with each other. So my kindness here is I know that I've seen that okay, that some women that feel like doing certain chores in the house is such a problem because you're doing it for a man, but forgetting that he too is actually doing a whole lot of thinking and brainstorming for the family. So you just have to realize that you have to be kind to each other. So I will not be angry and allow him not to eat. So I can be angry, but baby, what are you going to eat this night? I don't want him to sleep on an empty stomach. It bothers me. So I have to be kind enough to be thinking about your welfare. And
Well,
likewise, the man.
and also for me, I learned that no matter how angry I am, I must always make room for food in my stomach from my wife.
Yeah,
Because that is one avenue. Talking, eating. I mean, both has to do with the mouth. But those two channels, the mouth taking food and the mouth speaking, is the key to solving problems within a relationship.
yeah,
Sitting down and talking solves all the problem. You can talk a person to commit suicide.
yeah.
So the mouth, the power. They say the life and death are in the
And
in
the
the
power
power of
in
the tongue.
tongue. Yeah,
So we must always give room to eat our wives' food no matter what. I had some friends too that no matter how much where they go, they must always come back home to come and eat food and
yeah.
money. Sometimes they tell you, look, I'm not having an extra chicken because if I get home I don't eat my wife's food, I'm in trouble. That was never the case for me, but somehow I just applied it. I must always come home and eat my wife's food.
And that goes to my last point is that we have to learn. We learn to make compromises for each other. Trust me, it is a big deal for my husband right now to be in front of this camera doing this, but because he knows that it makes me happy, he's gonna try to do that. Also, for instance, let's say you have your finances all settled and you have a budget that you guys are working on, but because you know that okay, this was not part of the budget, but because you actually need this particular thing, let us try and get it. Not all the time, but because you know that I can just be, let me try and be a bit flexible. Let me try and be, make some compromises here and there. I may not like certain things that you're going to decide, but because I know that that's going to make you happy or that's going to actually solve a problem for you, I have to be willing to let go of some other things because marriage is really about compromise.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a very important point. You might have that project, that you're working on. Maybe you want to build a poultry, but and your wife wants something that you think is not necessary. Sometimes, you just, I mean, it's the Almighty that provides, right? Sometimes you just say, look, this is what she wants. I'm going to give it to her, irrespective. The Almighty will provide. So we always make concessions for each other.
Yeah.
And, in more ways than you're even aware of, sometimes she makes those sacrifices for you as well. So you mustn't always be logical and think that we have a budget, we must stick to the budget, we
Yeah.
must do this,
Yes. Be
we have to
very
do this, we have to
strict.
achieve this, we have a goal.
Yeah.
Sometimes that Excel sheet, just scratch the bottom line and add more rows.
Yeah.
Add more rows to your Excel sheet so that you can, like my younger brother always says, it is more expensive, to deal with a divorce than to make your wife happy. So
Yeah.
I mean, he says that's what his friends always tell him, anyways.
So
So
you make her
yes,
happy,
yes, make her happy.
as much as you
Take her
can.
on that trip. Go to
So,
Punta Cana. Wherever you want to go, just go and make her happy.
so really, it's making each other happy. So, well, this is 13 years of marriage and 21 years of being together. I hope our little chit chats with there are actually a whole lot more, but we just decided to do 13 since it's 13 years of anniversary. And I believe that if you apply a couple of these things, it should help you either improve or, you know, if you were in a bad state before, just propel you to something good, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel Omori, for
Yes.
being here with me. I'm so honored.
You're
All
welcome.
right. Thank you so much and have a good day. Bye.
Bye.